Hello and welcome, dear children. In the early 19th century, revolution took place in many parts of Europe, and the revolution was the emergence of socialism. There was change in the mindset of people about the society and about the government. The socialists took over the government in Russia through the October Revolution of 1970. Dear learners, the fall of monarchy in February 1917 and events of October are normally called the Russian Revolution. Russia was a huge empire in 1914. In 1914, Tsar Nicholas II ruled Russia and its empire. In the 1914 Russian Empire extended beyond the territory around Moscow. Dear learner, the Russian Empire was a vast empire which included current-day Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, parts of Poland, Ukraine, and Belarus. The children, it stretched to the Pacific and comprised today's central states as well as Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. In Russian Empire, there were many religions. Such a huge empire must be having many religions. The major religion was the Russian Orthodox Christians, which had grown out of the Greek Orthodox Church. But the empire also included Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, and Buddhists. So, Russian Empire was multi-religious. In this map, you can see that the green shaded area just top of the map towards the right hand side is the huge and the vast Russian Empire, neighbored by Germany, Austria, Hungary. Let us look at the economy and the society of the Russian Empire. Children, Russian Empire was primarily an agricultural empire. At the beginning of the 20th century, the vast majority of Russians were agriculturists. About 85% of the Russian Empire's population earned their living from agriculture. This proportion was higher than in most European countries. The children, at that time, in most of the European countries, industrial development had already taken place. For example, in France and Germany, the proportion of the people engaged in agriculture was as low as between 40% to 50%. The children, whereas you can see that in Russia it was 85%. In the empire, cultivators produced for the market as well as for their own needs, and Russia was the major exporter of the grain. If we look at the industry of Russian Empire, industry was found in pockets. A prominent industrial areas were St. Petersburg and Moscow. Craftsmen undertook much of the production, but large factories existed alongside crafts workshops. Many factories were set up in 1890s when Russia's railway network was extended and foreign investment in industry increased. Coal production doubled and iron and steel output quadrupled. The production rose by 4 times. By the 1900s, in some areas, factory workers and craftsmen were almost equal in number. So gradually, in Russian Empire, industrial work started and industries started coming up, and more people become the workers in the industrial units. More and more people become the craftsmen. More and more people become a skilled worker in the industries. With the beginning of industrial units in Russian Empire, cities emerged, and in the modern cities, in the new cities, there was a change in the society. So there was a change in Russian society in urban areas. Workers were divided in social groups. Some had strong links with the village from which they came. Others had settled in cities permanently. Workers were divided by skill. For example, metal workers considered themselves aristocrat among other workers as their occupation demanded more training and more skill. Women also made up 30% of the factory labor force in 1914, but they were paid less than men. Division among workers showed themselves in dress and in manners too. Some workers formed association to help members in time of unemployment or financial hardship, but such associations were few. Moving out to the village, to the countryside, the children in the village, in the countryside, peasant cultivated most of the land. But you all know that the land belonged to the nobility. The nobility, the crown, and the Orthodox Church owned large properties. The children, like workers, peasants were divided. They were deeply religious. Russian peasants were different from the other European peasants in another way. They pooled their land together periodically, and their commune, that is mir, divided it accordingly to the needs of individual families. So they were little different from the French farmers. So here we have discussed about the Russian Empire, its political conditions, its religious conditions, its economy, and the society. For the next topics, continue to watch the video. Till then, Jai Hind.